Why have I brought you here again? I'll tell you why. Here we go again. I don't remember what episode. In this video, I'm going to go over the Valley of the Sun stage race. It is all biking. I'm going to go over some numbers. If you don't like numbers, you might not like this video either, but I have the full vlog style video posted on the Octagon Elite page, and I'll link it in the description so you guys can go look at it. That's a fun one. I love the vlog styles, but I just felt like I needed to address some kind of behind the scene type stuff and how I was feeling throughout the whole thing. Let's just get into it. Okay, so Friday, which was the time trial, was quite short. I think it was 10 miles, somewhere around 23 minutes, I believe, or maybe just under 23 minutes. It was very straightforward. It was an easy course. It was kind of in the farmland. There was no wind that morning. So I had my Ventum, I had a speed suit, aero helmet, the whole shebang. I averaged right around 300 watts for the 23 minutes, which I am okay with. At this point in the season, I'm not doing a lot of speed work. It's still pretty early coming out of winter training, so we're still trying to do a lot of base miles, but at the same time, this is like the perfect way to kickstart my legs into some harder intervals. So I was very happy about that. Not much climbing, elevation gain of 80 feet, so it was dead flat. I ended up in 8th place, which means overall I was sitting in 8th in the general classification. So for those of you who don't know, for a stage race, it's over the course of 3 days, and it basically sums up your total time, and whoever completes all 3 stages in the shortest amount of time wins. That's probably not the right way to explain it, but technically I think that's how it goes. So I came in 8th in the time trial, which means I'm sitting 8th overall. We obviously have 2 more days of racing, so a lot to unfold. So that was the TT. Very easy, a short day. Let's talk about the road race. The road race was 46 miles. It was just under 2 hours of riding, and we averaged almost 25 miles an hour, so we were kind of rolling. The course was pretty straightforward. There's a big climb going into the finish line. So if we're looking at the course profile, you can see we did this climb 3 times. And it's not a long climb. It's not enough for it to make a massive difference. I would say it's maybe 10 minutes, and it's punchy. So that's one thing that I'm not used to. I'm used to very consistent pacing. I'm not used to going all out for 10 minutes and then having to recover quickly on the downhill while keeping up with everybody just to do it again. I mean, it's not the type of training I do, but I think I did fare pretty well. It was 1,500 feet of climbing over 46 miles, which really is not a ton of climbing. For triathletes, it might be a bit of climbing. We like the flat stuff. No, this one had a little bit of shebang in it. And yeah, not much happened in the road race. I mean, it's 2 hours of riding with a group, so you have to be mentally present. I was keeping my eyes up the road to see if anyone tried to make a move. It was a little windy, so not great for a 1, 2, 3, 4-man group up the road. But if there was anything big, I wanted to be a part of it, but that didn't end up happening. And actually, a group of 3 got away, so I shouldn't say that. Overall, it was a fun day. By the end, I mean, the last climb I was pretty cooked, but I think I did recover pretty well that night. I ended up 15th in the road race, which wasn't bad, and I did drop a spot in the overall classification. I went down to 9th. And the next day is the criterium, which is the most fun. It's a lot shorter. It's only 28 minutes. 20-minute heart rate, 167. 5-second heart rate, 182. That was probably the sprint finish. 13 miles, averaged just over 27 miles per hour. It was also dead flat. Total elevation gain, 92 feet. Dead flat. But it had this cool figure 8 course. And the start finish is just below this memorial, this veterans memorial. And that strip was kind of an uphill. So it's an uphill drag finish. My legs were jelly by the end of it, but really, from the start, you can see from the videos, I definitely started out in the back. It took me a second to clip in my feet, which is fine. Got a feel for what the group was doing, and then I kind of just rode through the group and started to make my way to the front. 15 minutes in, and then again 20 minutes in, I drop my chain and I get spit out the back. So I had to, I'm just rolling along. I can't pedal. And I reach down, I put my chain back on the chain ring, catch up to the group, just for it to happen again 2 laps later. Thankfully, it didn't happen in the sprint finish, but I actually did just get what do they call it? A chain keeper or like a chain stay? It's like a fake front derailleur. So hopefully that won't be happening anymore. I was trying to stay at the front because I don't trust anyone in a criterium. I don't care who it is. I don't trust them. And I did not want to crash. So I just tried my best to stay towards the front. And if that meant burning a match or 2 matches to stay at the front, I absolutely was doing it. I think normal strategy would be to try and sit in and basically save your legs as long as you could and go for the sprint finish, or try to make a move and attack the group and get away into a breakaway. I would have liked to get in like an established breakaway, and I did try. I attacked the group. Nobody went with me, and I was able to stay away for like 2 laps. It really was tough for any breakaway to stay away, but I did try because I really wanted it to happen. But they caught me pretty quickly. And then at that point, it was maybe like 4 laps to go. So it was pretty late in the race. And yeah, I sat in and I figured, okay, this is going to come down to a sprint, which is not my strong suit at all. But I think I squeaked out 9th in the sprint finish, which is good. I would like to be higher, but 9th is okay. I'm okay with that. So that means I held on to 9th place overall. The point being, I showed up to this race wanting to give it my all. I didn't want to crash, and I wanted to push hard and race. And that's what I did. And it was super fun. I stopped and got some In-N-Out after the race, and it was really good. I also wanted to talk about some differences between bike racing and triathlon. There's Henry saw a bird. So there's a few obvious differences right off the bat. Bike racing, all you're doing is racing a bike. Triathlon, you obviously have 3 sports. Aside from the main obvious differences between the 2 races, I wanted to talk about some of the smaller, like maybe less obvious differences that changed the way I may have raced or changed the way I prepare for the race, I guess. The first one is warm-ups. So when I'm at a triathlon, we are not necessarily scrambling, but we're setting up our bike, getting our run shoes and all of our running stuff together, making sure we have all of our swimming stuff, making sure our transition looks good. So there's not a ton of time, or maybe not a ton of energy that you want to spend on warming up. I still do like a 10-minute jog, but for the bike racing, I did a 30-minute warm-up on the trainer. So by the time the race start came around, I was pretty much completely warmed up. It was really nice. I enjoyed it a lot. Another difference would be race dynamics. The bike portion of a triathlon, it's an individual event, no drafting, you're just on your own, self-sustained. But for bike racing, obviously you're allowed to draft. There's a big group of people, and the actions of others greatly influence how your race might turn out. Here's a good one. You don't have to show up at a venue at 5 a.m. because the races don't start. Well, I guess the races start at 7, but it doesn't take 2 hours to get ready. So that's a fun one. Okay, this is an interesting one. Kind of less obvious one is aid stations. People in triathlon are very familiar with the concept of aid stations. In bike racing, there's no aid stations. Now, the races are shorter, so you don't really need them. For Valley of the Sun, there was a feeding zone for the road race. So people were, you were allowed to have somebody there handing you bottles or food or whatever you wanted. Yeah, so the race is not supplying you with nutrition, put it that way. So those are just a few of the less obvious differences that I thought would be interesting to talk about. I don't know what is next in the video, so we're just gonna cut right to it. All that being said, super fun weekend. I had a great time with Dalton and his crew, and Max was there also. Paige was there helping me out. So it was a super fun weekend, a great way to wake my legs up and use this weekend kind of as a training ramp into some higher intensity stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown as a triathlete racing in a bike race. I highly recommend it, and I will hopefully be doing more bike races. But anywho, thanks for tuning in, and check out some of the other videos on here, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, Lankies.